And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, November 26th. No turkey just yet. We are here to break down the final NBA slate before Thanksgiving. So if you're here, give thanks by hitting the like button. I think that's, of all the days that I'm ever going to ask for this, prior to the day where you're supposed to give thanks, a day where we don't have any NBA shows for you to do that. You should do it on the NFL shows, by the way. Hit us with that thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. I'm Josh Engleman. That is DK DFS. Follow him on the Twitters or X, whatever I'm supposed to say, at DK__DFS. We got a fun slate today. A lot of it is extra gross. I'm excited to talk about it. You ready for this one?
Yeah, I'm happy they included all the late games. Usually the day or the night before Thanksgiving is always like an insane slate. They have like every team plays, but we got a good size slate. 8 games, again, some later games, some opportunity for late swap. We do some interviews to talk about. So overall, I think it's setting up to be a pretty good one.
I expected like infinitely more Q tags today. Like I really thought that we were going to get just a sea of like, oh, we're waiting on this guy. We're waiting on that guy. We're waiting on this guy. Oh my God, who's going to play? And then all of a sudden we get to lock and it's like, Mohamed Diawara is the number one play of the slate because everybody from the Knicks sat. Like, it's stuff like that. And it doesn't appear to be happening today. So I guess we should just dive in. Game number 1, Knicks and Hornets. And there's really not a ton to talk about here on the DraftKings side. Towns is 20% owned. Brunson's 20% owned. Kalkbrenner's 10, but I arguably like Diabate more. But it's really just the 2 real dudes from the Knicks and very little else. So let's start with the 2 real guys from the Knicks, and then we can see if we can unearth anything. How are you feeling about Towns and Brunson?
Yeah, so I think both are reasonable plays. I think maybe both going slightly over-owned right now, but I love the matchup for both of them. You do have Mitchell Robinson back, so it's like, slight downgrade to Cat's rebounding numbers, but overall, 9K, 9.7K reasonable price points for both those guys. So, yeah, if you land any of those guys, I think it's fine. Like I said, ownership maybe feels a little bit high, but I understand why it's happening. As you mentioned, there's really not any ownership coming to the rest of this game. I do think that Mitchell Robinson at 2% is kind of interesting as a tournament play. 3,900. So 2 games ago, he played 22 minutes. The most recent game, he kind of got played off the court a little bit, dealt with some foul trouble, and played 17 minutes. But there was a quote before a couple games ago about them trying to ramp up his minutes a little bit. So I think you could definitely see like 21, 22 minutes from Mitchell Robinson here at no ownership. I think that is at least a little bit interesting. So he is someone that I think is viable. I think it's a bit tougher to get to the wings, guys like Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges. They seem priced right. On the opposite side for Charlotte, I also think it's tough to make the argument for anyone. Now, LaMelo Ball has been, kind of capped on his minutes. I know he dealt with some foul trouble last game, only played 25 minutes. One of these days, he's going to just play normal minutes. It could be today. I don't think we're going to get a notification like, oh, LaMelo Ball is no longer on a limit. And so at no ownership, if you wanted to take that shot and hope LaMelo plays 35 minutes in a cup game, I think that's, reasonable. The only other guys getting some ownership are the 2 centers for Charlotte, Kalkbrenner, Diabate. About 10% to Kalkbrenner, about 5% to Diabate. Indifferent on both those guys. For the most part, they're going to split the 48 center minutes. So, overall, there's not a ton in this game. Obviously, it's Brunson and Cat, but I mentioned a couple of contrarian plays I think you can take some shots on. I think you're muted.
And it's the exact same story on the FanDuel side. Karl Anthony Towns is like 15, a little under-owned. Jalen Brunson is like 15, a little over-owned. We see a little bit more of Brandon Miller at 6,200. Miles McBride's stealing a little bit of ownership. But whether it's DraftKings or whether it's FanDuel, this does seem like a game that's not grabbing all that much on the DFS side. I'm not surprised about it. I love the LaMelo shout. Like, it's coming eventually. One of these days in a competitive game, he's just going to play 35 minutes and you're going to have needed him probably. I wish that I could name somebody else here that I find interesting, but it really is kind of like Towns and minimally else. There are some spots today that like I really want to attack. I looked through this one. I can't find it. Unless we get crazy, stupid, random news in the next 2 hours, this is largely a no-go for me. Obviously, you could always roster Townsend Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
Let's refresh this. Let's get to game number 2. Bucks Heat. I hate this game so much. What a mystery. So no ownership anywhere to be found here. The highest owned guy on DraftKings right now, 8% to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Do you want to just start there? Thoughts on Giannis just overall, knowing what we know right now, because obviously this is subject to change.
Yeah, so I think Giannis is in play if he does get ruled in. Right now, not getting a ton of ownership. This is an up-tempo game against Miami, and he's been out for a little over a week. There's definitely a chance that if he plays, he just plays normal minutes. And so if that's the case, I definitely have interest in Giannis. But if he's in, I think it's really hard to get to the rest of this team because a lot of these guys are priced up from when he was out. So I think it's next to impossible to get to anyone else on Milwaukee. I guess like Cole Anthony probably would be that guy 4,200 because his role just doesn't really change a ton. He's still going to play 15 to 20 minutes off the bench and be that relatively high usage backup point. But yeah, so we got to keep an eye on the news. I'm like 50-50 on Giannis on whether or not he's going to play. They said 1 to 2 weeks when he originally got injured. And so, yeah, I don't really have a strong take on if he's going to play or not.
It strikes me because it's the Cup and because it's Milwaukee. I'm not surprised. Like if this were just a Wednesday, I don't think he's playing today and he's sitting out today and going through Thanksgiving and he's back Friday. Like it wouldn't. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're like real in the Cup right now and it's like, that's the only thing that's making me assume that he's going to be out there. And obviously, like when Giannis plays, it's not like he's playing 24 minutes today. He might not play 35, like it might be 30 or 31. But like if he's there, he's playing real enough minutes to be able to pay off 11.5. Does get a little scary. But when he's low owned, I'm always willing to roll the dice because when he's out there, he's probably feeling like he should be out there. The Miami side is the mystery of all mysteries today. It could be what we see right now, which is you don't play any of these guys, essentially. Or it could be very, very different. Do you have any leans on what we have for Miami right now?
So I think we got report a little bit ago that everyone's probable now. Yeah. Wiggins, Jaquez, Jovic, Drew Smith, all probable now.
Probable, or likely to play?
Probable.
This
is like
Probable. Those are all the greens. Okay, yep. So they're worthless.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so
they're unplayable?
Yeah, well, I want to keep an eye on the starting lineup for Miami. I kind of think that Ware moves to the bench here.
I don't know how they start them together. And he's been playing so well. Like, I don't want that to happen, but I don't get the appeal of starting like that.
Yeah, like I think if they continue to start Ware, then it's like Davion off the bench. But like for me, like that doesn't make a ton of sense. I think you'd want Davion in the starting lineup.
I think ultimately they're going to figure out in a couple of weeks if they're healthy that they can't start with Hero and Norm. And if they do, one of them's coming off the floor in like 3 minutes to stagger as aggressively. It makes so much, and like Hero's not coming off the bench. So it makes more sense to have Norm Powell be the first guy off the bench with Davion and Hero in the backcourt, like long term. And then it's Wiggins, Bam, and I don't know who the hell they want to be that fifth guy.
Yeah. I agree with that take of like, I think eventually Powell should be like that sixth man off the bench because him and Hero out there at the same time for a lot of minutes is not great for their defense.
No. Josh Gillum just made a decent point. If Giannis plays, I think they'll keep the two big lineup. That makes the most sense to me for this kind of spot.
Probably, yeah. Just because then you have Bam
and Spoelstra's smart enough to like change the starting lineup based on who they play too.
For sure. Yeah. So just keep Bam on Giannis and then have Ware as the rim protector. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if Khalil Ware starts, I think you can take a shot on him for tournaments. But with them getting a couple other guys back, I'm not nearly as confident in the minutes. And yeah, so overall, I think Miami is pretty hard to get to with the news that like basically everyone's probable here.
I will always be interested in a $7,800 Bam Adebayo, no matter what's happening in this scenario. But 2% ownership is not exactly surprising to me either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, but if I'm taking someone from Miami, it's Bam, and then I don't know if there's a second place. Like, I think I'm at third place already. Second's just vacant.
Yeah, I think you can always play Bam. Like he does, price point's reasonable on him. So yeah. If you wanted to click him in,
like I expect Bam to be in like the low 8s in a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to try to squeeze that, it's there. But I mean, look, you guys can see the ownership right now on the DraftKings side. No one is higher than 8, and only one guy is higher than 2.5. Like that is a decidedly lack of any interest whatsoever. But when we go to FanDuel, we get the exact same experience. Save for Giannis is slightly more owned. Ryan Rollins has a more manageable $7,700 price tag. He will look pretty darn good on FanDuel if Giannis doesn't play because of being point guard, shooting guard, and having a much more reasonable price. But there's nothing here either. These first two games are, I hope they're not the ones that make you win.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there. If like either of these first two games go to overtime, I'll probably be drawing dead.
Let's keep it moving, shall we? 15 minutes in, folks. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Give thanks the best way you can by hitting that like button. Let's get back to the schedule so I could actually see what's going on here. Pacers and Raptors. It really sucks to not have like 17 windows open at the exact same time like I typically do. Just one lone visual. This game's great because the guy that's getting the ownership is fine, but not the guy that I want the most. So Pacers-Raptors. This game is actually meaningless for the Cup. The Raptors have already clinched, and the Pacers are already out. So just a regular old game. And, it's Toronto, so they don't care about Thanksgiving tomorrow. 30% ownership to Scotty Barnes, about 15 for Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quickly, and then essentially nothing else for anyone in this game. Barnes is getting all the love. I tend to prefer Ingram, but where do you land on this Raptors trio?
Yeah, looking at the ownership right now, I think I would give the edge to Scotty Barnes of the Ingram, Quickly, and Barnes trio there. Looks like he's getting the least ownership, about 15%, 20% Quickly, 30% Brandon Ingram. You did see a minutes bump for both Ingram and Barnes last game. That was without RJ Barrett. You saw 37 minutes for Brandon Ingram. Scotty Barnes played 38 minutes. So that was good to see. In that game, it was Brandon Ingram that led the team in usage, over a 40% usage rate. So I expect Ingram to be out there chucking. Obviously, Barnes is a guy that can do a little bit of everything, but I love the matchup for both these guys. So, I like Toronto a lot here. I think Emmanuel Quickly is a totally reasonable option at 6,800. You are going to see overlap with him and Jamal Shed. So in their most recent game, Emmanuel Quickly played 33 minutes. Jamal Shed played 24. So obviously a decent amount of overlap there. Jamal Shed himself, as a value option, sub 4K, I think is a pretty good option. Potential assists have been really solid for Shed. So like any of those four guys for Toronto, I think are pretty good options. I haven't even talked about Jakob Poeltl yet, but 5,600, he feels underpriced. I love targeting bigs against the Pacers. Whether it be Isaiah Jackson or Jay Huff or Bradley, whoever they try to throw out there, like it's a good spot. So, center, we have so many good center plays, but I do think Poeltl is definitely underpriced here in a really good spot. So, overall, I think Toronto is one of my favorite teams to get to. The only other guy really to mention is Walter, who moved into the starting lineup last game. He played 24 minutes. Like, he's a fine play, but he's not going to be a high usage player. I don't think he's going to play huge minutes. And for me, I would just rather get to Shed off the bench at a similar price point.
Yeah, I like it. I was reading off ownership for FanDuel before, so that made it probably a
Okay.
little bit more confusing for people. DraftKings is up on the screen now. It's 30 for Ingram, 20 for Quickly. Excuse me, and about 15 for Barnes. It's flip-flop for Barnes and Ingram between FanDuel and DraftKings. So keep that in mind, everybody. DraftKings, Ingram more owned than Barnes. FanDuel, Barnes owned more than Ingram. Nobody that we just mentioned, however, is the most owned guy on DraftKings. Welcome back to this little fun spot. TJ McConnell, 3,600, 35% owned. And do I ever like this experience? No. Did I shit on TJ McConnell for most of the playoffs last year, thinking it would stop, and it didn't? Yes. I don't know what else I could do here. I mean, 3,600. We don't have a ton of like actual good value. He's going to play. One day he's going to play like 4 minutes more than we expect. And this price tag realistically will eventually be like 5K when that starts to happen. He's just easy value, I think. I hate it.
Yeah, I kind of agree here. You did see McConnell did get a bit of a minutes bump last game. Like he played 22 minutes. Now there's a quote from Carlisle after the game how he was pretty exhausted. So maybe he doesn't play 22 minutes again. But even in like 18 to 20 minutes of TJ McConnell, like he's a high usage player. Last game, he was third in the team in usage, about a 26% usage rate. He also made 56 passes in only 22 minutes and had 12 potential assists. So he's doing a lot when he's out there, and he's sub 4K, and we don't have like a ton of amazing value right now. And so, I like McConnell. I understand why it's happening. Is he going maybe a little bit overowned? I think you could make the argument that, at 35%, he's a little overowned, but I think right now he stands out as one of the best point per dollar values in the slate.
Yeah, it's just that price tag's just a little silly for where he's at right now. Yeah, AFC Angelo just said the same thing in chat. $3,600 price tag is broken, at least for now. Yeah, when he gets to the point, when they get him back and out there where he's just kind of playing that 20 to 24 a night, like no matter what, which is, I think where they probably want him to be once he's fully fresh. Because, I mean, he does give it all when he's out there. Like there's a reason he's gassed after 22 minutes because he's just going to pick somebody up from 94 feet and for 4 to 5 minutes until he's gassed. And then his hand goes up, come get him, do it again, and then do it again. But I get it. That said, it's either TJ McConnell or what appears like very little else for the Pacers. Jay Huff, Isaiah Jackson, both basically the same ownership. Good luck flipping that coin. It helps that Huff has the power forward, but none of it feels great. Mathurin is taking a ton of shots, but 6,900 now. Price is kind of there. Mamu as a $4,300 guy with no ownership. Like it seems like he's just got a really nice backup stat line every single game I look. That's really the heroic story of the Toronto Raptors so far. Their bench mob's been spectacular. A lot from Mamu. That said, I don't really see a ton as we work our way down this. Do you see any like pivot guys that you want to get to?
Yeah, I mean, I do have some interest in some of these other pieces for the Pacers. So you've, over the last couple of games, you've basically seen Tony Bradley get kicked out of the rotation. So 4, 4, and 6 minutes over the last 3 games. And that's kind of solidified the roles for both Jay Huff and Isaiah Jackson. Neither of these guys are getting a ton of ownership. Isaiah Jackson has lost me a lot of money because every time I play the guy or take his props, he gets in massive foul trouble. But
and then when you don't, he plays 30 and has like 16 100%. And 16.
Yeah. And so, a relatively low ownership. Both these guys are around 10%. I think they're guys you can mix in for tournaments. I think it is a good call. A little bit easier to get to Jay Huff because he's got the power forward eligibility. Outside of that, though, like guys like Mathurin, Nembhard, and Siakam, I think are viable here. Mathurin, since his return, has been leading the team in usage, about a 28% usage rate over the last 4 games. Did deal some foul trouble last game, so I wouldn't really be worried about the 28 minutes. The previous game, he played 37. I think he's going to be 35 plus in a competitive game. So he's viable. Nembhard, obviously, really good ball handling role, playable. And then Siakam is playing big minutes as well. So like those guys are all guys you can mix in for tournaments. Do they really stand out as good point per hour plays? No. But as contrarian options, I think you can get a little bit of exposure there.
Yeah, we're starting to see that Siakam price come back down. Getting to 88 now. I think we'll probably see like a couple hundred more getting that 84, 85 while they're like full strength. whatever we determined that was. Anthony says, can't believe this team was just in the finals. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe it while it was happening, but it was fun to watch. Man, that was a good stretch. I mean, if Halliburton's just going to hit a buzzer beater every game, it's obviously going to be super duper fun to watch the Pacers. And he was hitting one every single day I did a show. It was a good time. I like this game a lot. It's going to be hectic. There's going to be a lot of people. Okay, here's a good one for you. We're going to flip the question a little bit.
Okay.
Since we do have a decent chunk of ownership, and this is the first time we've had it, who's going to hurt people here? Like, who's the guy that we ultimately are like, man, that guy sucked?
Oof.
Is that Ingram because he goes like 6 of 26 from the field or something?
Yeah, I'm just going to say Ingram because of the ownership. I think Ingram's a good play, but I do think like 30% is a little high. But yeah, I don't think I have like a great answer of like all these top end guys. I guess I'll say Ingram, but that's not like super confident.
Yeah, like I'm kind of with you there. Like I like Ingram here with no Barrett. Like everybody looks a little bit better. I'm not surprised to see it, but that's the one where he just either Scotty Barnes smashes or like quickly has a day, or like Ingram's shots just not falling. I can see it because it's not like he's gonna have 8 assists and 7 boards as well to offset it. You're gonna need him to drop 30 plus. He's the guy that I think is most likely to make you unhappy by the time we're all done here. All righty. Next one up. We're 3 down. Minnesota OKC, the main event of today, at least from a real basketball perspective. And then we're at the halfway point. So let's hit it. Real basketball wise, this is the one we want because both of these teams are essentially ready to go. We'll talk about that in a sec. But while this is an awesome real game, it's a game that has legitimate NBA Cup issues. No one is touching this game at all. 5% ownership to Chet is the highest mark here. We're live to get like extra special real minutes here, right? This is the Oklahoma City's been beating the shit out of everybody for a month. If this is competitive, like we're getting 35, 36 out of SGA. We'll talk about SGA in a second. I think we're getting the real Hartenstein minutes, the real Chet minutes, the real everything minutes. And obviously like Minnesota just plays their dudes no matter what. So they're not going to be that difficult to figure out here, but they can play them more. I love this game for DFS and I love it because no one's on it.
Yeah, this game's getting very little ownership. I think it's going to be a great game to watch, but like for DFS, again, not a ton that's standing out if you just look at the salaries. But as you said, like I think both these teams are going to tighten it up a bit. I think Oklahoma City, will maybe trim down the rotation a little bit. Minnesota already runs a tight rotation, but maybe playing their main guys a couple extra minutes here. So there's no ownership at all in this game. I think the first guy I'll start with is 1% Anthony Edwards. I know it's not a good spot against Oklahoma City, but this is Ant. He's a guy that definitely can be matchup proof. Over the last couple of games, he's got about a 34% usage rate, and in those games, 40 minutes in back-to-back games. So I definitely think you could see like 40 minutes here again from Anthony Edwards. At 1%, if I was MMEing, I think I would like to be overweight to that. Not like massively overweight, but I think, maybe in like 5%.
You had 10% of Ant. Like, yeah, that's right. Like, it's not changing your day, but you're like, oh shit, I have Anthony Edwards.
Exactly. The rest of Minnesota, I think it's like you can play these guys, but they all just seem priced right. And like nothing really stands out to me. So there's not a ton else there. For Oklahoma City, SGA is up to 11K. I think it's tough to play. I'm not saying you can't get to him. Like you said, I definitely think you could see like 38 minutes from SGA here, assuming the game does stay competitive. The issue is just that like AJ Mitchell's role off the bench has been really solid. And that hurts SGA a little bit, his ball handling role. This Oklahoma City team is close to full health now, and that's why they've just been blowing out every team basically. Front court guys like Hartenstein and Chet just feel priced right. So yeah, this would be a game. This would be a great game to watch. But as far as DFS plays, that there's not a lot here.
But there could be. I don't think this is going to matter. But if it happens, what do you want to do to OKC?
Oh, with SGA being questionable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he plays. He was at shoot around, so I'm pretty sure he's going to play. If he doesn't, then I think AJ Mitchell would become one of the better point per dollar plays in the slate. I assume he would move in the starting lineup and start at the point, and would like him a lot. Chet would get a usage bump. He would look really good. And then I think you could start even considering some of these secondary pieces, like Case and Wallace, Lou Dort, Joe, Caruso. Those guys would all be in play for me if SGA doesn't play. But right now, I'm pretty sure he is. He's going to be playing.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those situations like Giannis, where if this was just a Wednesday and then tomorrow was Thanksgiving, SGA is going to get fresh. They're going to play extra guy. Like they're going to get other looks. Dagnall wants that shit all the time. Seems like a perfect spot. The fact that it's NBA Cup, I just kind of expect him to be out there. And I'm very happy to get him if I can, because I think it's realistic that he could play 36 minutes today in a competitive game. And he basically just plays 30 every single night because they kick the shit out of everybody. I love it. I don't know what I want. I don't know if it's Chet, if it's SGA, if it's Hartenstein, if it's like even Case and Wallace at 4,500, given the value we have. I don't think that's like the most ludicrous situation in the world. 4K Caruso in this matchup, if he's going to take it upon himself to be like, all right, I'm going to play 26 today and I'm going to guard Anthony Edwards. Like I want to ruin his day and ruin his Thanksgiving. That's a thing that Alex Caruso could wake up and do today. Same for Dort, 4,300 small forward. What if Dort just plays 32 minutes like he typically does when the game matters? He's a $4,300 small forward. Like I'm very interested in these guys if they just play 7 more minutes than they typically do. I don't know, like someone's going to do it if it's competitive. I don't know where to go, but I definitely want to have more than everything we see on the screen in like the aggregate, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'm glad you brought up Caruso too, because he's usually someone in like the bigger games that does play a little bit more. In games where they're pretty big favorites and winning, like he doesn't play much, and sometimes he just like DMPs in the second half in the games where they're winning by a lot. So this would be
they don't give a shit if he's out there guarding Keontae George when they're up by 67 against the Jazz.
So yeah, I definitely could, like if Caruso came out and played 25 minutes on the bench, I would not be surprised.
Yeah. On the FanDuel side, there's just like a hair more ownership coming in. Chet's at 15, SGA's at 15. We're down in like those single digits again. To me, it's just like the same story we just talked about. Norm Powell available to play. I assume we're going to get 3 more of these stupid Heat. There's the next one, Wiggins. Actually, I'm going to let these bad boys pop up on my phone, or technically my watch. I guess it's a phone as well. Because I'm just kind of hoping that one of these is like, so-and-so is out. But I don't think that's coming. Jaquez available to play. Who's left? Drew Smith, I don't give a shit about. He's about to lose his spot in the rotation. He done. Too many guards back. So FanDuel, OKC, Minnesota, same sitch, man. But if we get SGA out, get ready to just start firing full barrels at some of these other OKC guys. If you guys want to fire those full barrels, maybe you want to do it tonight. Maybe you want to do it by using the promo code GRAVY to get any weekly core or max package on the DFS side for half off. Black Friday sale is here. Thanksgiving is here. We wanted to give back to you guys. So the promo code is GRAVY. You can get any DFS package for a week for 50% off. You guys can see the Millie screenshot on the screen right now. That's not the only one we have this year. We don't have just 2. We don't have just 3. Got 4 in like the last 5 months. And if my premonition is holding true, we'll pick up another one tomorrow for Thanksgiving. And preferably with the name Josh Engleman to the left of it. That would be a lot cooler. That way I can really enjoy my Thanksgiving. But you guys can enjoy it as well with us using the promo code GRAVY. And guess what? That's not the only time I'm going to tell you about gravy before we get out of here. I'll let you guys stew on that one. Try to figure out what it's going to be. Let's get to game number 5. Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans. 2 teams I wish didn't exist, but they're here. We're getting 25% ownership on FanDuel to Jaren Jackson. I need to start playing on FanDuel so I could just play Triple J every single day. doesn't seem like he ever really becomes the dude on the DraftKings side. Today is the dude for Sadiq Bey, who is 20% owned. Then Zion, Trey Murphy, Derek Queen, Cedric Howard, all about 10. A couple other guys in the scattered 5 section. While I would love to start with Sadiq Bey, that feels like no one should ever start anything with Sadiq Bey. $6,400 center, Derek Queen, 11% owned, coming off of a Monday where he caused a lot of people to tweet at DraftKings and FanDuel asking for all sorts of stuff. And then we've got Yves Missi, 4,100, 1% owned. Is there something in one of those guys today?
Yeah. So for the Pelicans, I did see Missi. So they tweeted this, I think it was practice yesterday. But it looked like Missi had a starter's jersey and Derek Queen did not. Now that wasn't shoot around, that was practice. So I'm not going to read too much into it. But Missi did start the second half for Derek Queen last game. So I do want to keep an eye on that. I do think there's a chance that they start Missi here over Derek Queen. But I'm assuming you saw that tweet of the guy that bet on Derek Queen and was asking for a refund because he didn't play his normal minutes.
I did. And I also saw his retraction. Like, I was incredibly emotional. I was dying. I'm like, I want to have a bunch of Yves Missi heading into lock. And if it ends up being Queen, whatever, like I wouldn't even still mind having a little bit of Missi, but 1% at 4,100 today, given what we've seen, like Ryan Kalkbrenner is pulling more than this right now. And Yves Missi just might start and play 25 minutes. Like that's a much more than one. Like, I don't think he's good, but 1% today. And there's no doubt in my mind that like Derek Queen constantly makes mistakes and it's frustrating coaches and he's going to get like yo-yoed in and out. I know it's coming. I'd love to be there today. I think Yves Missi's fascinating.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
I'm glad you shouted out everything that was happening.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there with Missi. So definitely keep an eye on the starting lineup. I think it's probably 50-50 on who they start there at the center position. If Derek Queen starts, I think you can take shots at him for sure. The ownership obviously has dropped. He's 6,400, but he still has a really nice role when he's on the court. Like over the last few games, even with Zion in, he's still leading the team in usage, 27% usage rate. They run a lot of offense through him, kind of like Jokic. So his potential assists are up too. So I do think if Derek Queen starts, you can certainly go back there. And the ownership's going to be relatively low because he burned a lot of people, including myself, last night. So I think the center situation is pretty interesting. I guess we'll go to Sadiq Bey, 20% ownership. I mean, the forward position's relatively weak. I do think he's going a little bit over-owned. I think was it last game he had the big game? So a back-to-back 40 fantasy point games for Sadiq Bey, I think is a bit of an outlier here. And so while I think he's a fine play, I do think he's going a little bit over-owned. What's your thoughts on him?
I think it's fine. I generally share your sentiment. We have so little guys now that have MPEs that get into like any sort of decent situation. And given his price, given the way this slate is set up and the fact that he has one, I think that's carrying a lot of weight and putting him in places that's just like he ends up. It's almost like that MPE is a tiebreaker between him and like 10 other dudes. And I think he just kind of like wins that coin flip every time and it's happening. I don't mind. Like he's going to be out there. I'm not expecting him to just drop 40 with any sort of regularity. I don't really see any reason it couldn't be again today. I'm not shocked to see the ownership. I think it's all relatively fine. I wanted to say this before we get off this like Missi Queen thing. I'm really excited for Missi starts Queen smash off the bench because that feels like the most likely scenario in all of this.
Oh yeah, you know what's going to happen. Like we're going to get late news. Missi starts, pivot, get a lot of him, and then he plays awful. Queen smashes off the bench.
Yeah. What about the rest of these guys? Zion, Trey Murphy. That's probably the end of anything we're going to say about New Orleans guys, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think both those guys are reasonable plays. Ownership feels about right. Zion should be in that 30-minute range. He's got about a 25% usage rate over the last 3 games. And so, yeah, I think you can get to Zion for sure. Trey Murphy, not as excited about, but 7,200 is still a reasonable price point. He's going to play big minutes in a competitive game. And then I guess we'll talk about Alvarado because he had the big game last time out. I don't think he's going to start. I think they want to continue to start Fears. I'd be pretty surprised if they switch that up. But like we have seen this a few times this year where he plays really well off the bench and they extend him. Like November 4th against Charlotte, he played 31 minutes. Last game he played 32 minutes. Most of the time he's going to be around that 20-minute range, but like he is a guy that like if he's playing really well, they will extend him. And he's not getting a ton of ownership right now, so I think he's in consideration at least for value.
Yeah, you want to get Jose Alvarado in those times where he is like popping into those bigger minutes things. When he starts to play regular big minutes, I like to run away as fast as I can because I don't think that he's like TJ McConnell. Like eventually he breaks because he just does everything so hard and so constant over and over and over again. You see him get those stretches where he does like 6-7 games where he gets real minutes and then all of a sudden he's just done for like 2 or 3 weeks. I've seen it a bunch so far. You want to get it now before it happens and before everybody's there, because if they start playing him regularly, it's going to be Fears in like 2 weeks because Alvarado is going to be on the shelf. But right now, I mean, you start comparing him to TJ McConnell today, I get the price tag's like a pretty sizable gap, but Alvarado can really fall into extra minutes here at no ownership.
For sure. And then on the Memphis side, there was one guy I wanted to talk about. Zach Edey, I think is a pretty interesting tournament play. Now, he is listed as questionable. He was at shoot around. And so I do think that Edey's going to play here. And I really like the matchup for him, whether it be Derek Queen or Misi. I think Edey can feast here. 2 games ago, 26 minutes, went for 45 fancy points. Like the ceiling is there. The price point doesn't really stand out, but also he's getting no ownership. And so like in 25, 26 minutes, Edey can definitely go for 40 fancy points here. And he's one of many centers I think I want to consider for sure on the slate. And so, yeah, I like him as a GPP play, sub 5%.
I love the shout. I'm a big Edey guy. I was a big Edey guy, like coming into the season last year, because I thought it was pretty obvious what was going to happen every time he was out there. If he had a matchup against a legitimate NBA center, he was just going to give that dude the business because he is ultra offensively talented to be able to do that. If he's going to have like a real defensive guy out there, like he hadn't had that experience trying to break down those guys. But when you get these, like he's just playing a younger Derek Queen or Yves Misi, who's a nothing, like Zach Edey is so ultra talented that he could he'll have 14 and 10 before you even blink your eyes because he's just going to give these guys everything. I love it. We need him to play. If he doesn't play, are we just going straight to Jock Landale?
Probably not, but I do think he would be in consideration. Like you saw a huge game from Landale last game, and he played a ton in the second half. I think that's a bit of an outlier. I think if Edey sits, you would probably get Landale starting and playing around 25 minutes. And I think there's just still other centers I would prefer to get to. So like I think he would be like playable in a large field tournament, but for me, we've talked about, a lot of centers that I would rather take shots on in tournaments.
FanDuel is quite a bit different. The highest owned guy on the FanDuel side is Jaren Jackson, 6,800, power forward, center eligible, about 25% owned. I don't think I heard you say his name. I don't think that I said his name with regards to DraftKings. These are like completely different things. He's like, you're not really worried about him on DK, and he's chalk on FanDuel. So understand that dichotomy when you're hearing this stuff on the show. He is one of those guys that is very different depending on the site. Cedric Howard is a bit more popular here on FanDuel's side. Cam Spencer getting a little bit of love, only at 4,300. Not too much else that's like super different from what we just talked about. But I did want to point out that Jaren Jackson thing because that is a distinctly different setup between the two. I mean, 6,800, power forward, center, 28% owned. Or 7,800, power forward only, 4% owned. Like we're talking $1,000 difference, night and day. Anything else you want to drop here for these guys, either side?
No, I think we're ready to move on.
All righty. Next one up, Houston and Golden State, and their group is super duper weird. Let me refresh this just in case we've had any sort of updates. Don't forget, everybody, hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. We got about 15 minutes left on the deeper dive, but we're not done. Live before lock coming up next, 6 to 7. Give them thanks by hitting that like button. Rockets shorthanded today. No Kevin Durant, no Tari Eason, no Steven Adams. And that is creating some ownership to Josh Okogie, which everybody was expecting, right? Josh Okogie, 31% owned Josh Okogie, 3,900 guard forward eligibility. Reed Shepherd's 20. Clint Capella, flat min 3K, 20% owned. Alperen Şengün, 9,900 power forward center, 18% owned. Jabari Smith, Amin Thompson, Aaron Holiday getting a little bit of love. The top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 7? Yeah. The top 7 guys in ownership in this game are all from Houston, and the highest owned Golden State guy is Gary Payton at 3. Let's start with Okogie because I think we can get that done pretty quick. With all the bodies out, the minutes are relatively safe. He doesn't do much while he's out there, but he's guard forward eligibility with a sub 4K price tag. I think he kind of just exists today.
Yeah, like you said, there's not a lot of value, great value on the slate. Okogie's going to start and probably play over 30 minutes. He played 29 and a half last game. He got pulled last 2.5 minutes. He was pacing for like 32 minutes in that game. He's not going to be like super productive, like a high usage player, but with guard forward eligibility, he does stand out right now as one of the better values. So am I excited to play Josh Okogie at high ownership? No, but I totally understand why it's happening on the slate.
Yeah, and I love the matchup for him. He knows why he's out there. He's going to be defending someone, whether it's Steph, whether it's Butler. He's going to take that kind of matchup pretty regularly. Amin Thompson also going to be involved in this sort of stuff. But Golden State coughs the ball up a lot. They're 4th or 5th in turnover rate. They always have been. That kind of happens when you've got Steph having the ball so much. He's going to be creative. But that's the one thing that makes me like Okogie just enough. All right, if they're going to barf it around, if he can grab a couple extra defensive stats, that should help. We've got Shepherd, Capella, Şengün, all basically the same ownership. I've got one guy in this group that I like the most. I'll throw it to you. Do you have one guy in that 20% owned group that you prefer?
Probably Reed Shepherd. Reasonable price point there at 5,600. He definitely underperformed last game. 27 minutes. Didn't have the best shooting game, but the game before that, he played 37 minutes. I could definitely see Reed Shepherd come out here and play 35 minutes. And so I think the minute ceiling is there for Reed Shepherd. Outside of last game, he's been playing pretty well. And with KD out, obviously more usage, a little bit more ball handling. So I like Reed Shepherd, reasonable price, reasonable ownership.
I think Şengün's the guy I want to pay for today. Power forward eligibility is massive because we do have these sneaky center value guys that we can get to. I like, for example, an Alperen Şengün and Yves Missi pairing is very fascinating to me, as we move forward. But 9,900 power forward center, about 20% owned, pretty sizable boom. Not surprised. That's the kind of what you see for bigs. But no Al Horford, so it's Draymond, it's Quentin Post, it's probably a lot of double teams and weird stuff to try to slow Şengün down because they don't really have anybody that physically can handle him. And while Quentin Post is a big dude, defensively mildly challenged. So 9,900 for Şengün probably gets me another 9K guy if I want it to pretty easily, given some of the value here. Not that I have any issue with Reed Shepherd, but I'm really digging Şengün. And if I'm lucky, they don't give a shit about Clint Capella and Şengün just plays alongside smaller dudes and he has 80 rebounds today, which would be nice. That said, now it's the time to talk about a flat min 3K Clint Capella that's 20% owned. This could go 10 different directions and I'd believe it. Do you have any leans on this dude?
Yeah, so the ownership scares me a little bit on Capella. Now, the thing with Capella is, he's kind of been out of the rotation, playing a little bit here and there, but he's still a pretty good point per minute player. He's the flat min price. And I think there's a relatively wide range of outcomes. I think there's a chance that he comes and just plays kind of the Steven Adams role as that big, playing 18 to 22 minutes off the bench. And if that's the case, I think he can have a really good game. But I think also there's a chance, against Golden State, it's a bit more of a small ball team that, comes out and plays like 10, 12 minutes, and then they just kind of really lean on guys like Şengün, Amen, Jabari. Like, they just play those guys a little bit even more. And so I think the ownership right now feels a little bit high, but there's definitely that ceiling there for Capella. I just think maybe the field's a little bit overconfident right now.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he could be like, Şengün plays 35. Realistically, Capella could play 13. Mm-hmm. Realistically, he could play 0. Like, Jabari Smith can be the backup 5 here quite easily, and it wouldn't be weird at all. They're thin, for sure. I think that ends up leading to, like, your Jayshawn Tates and your Jeff Greens probably playing a couple more minutes than you'd love, but there's also the chance that they're like, all right, Clint Capella is just Steven Adams from a different place, and he's going to play like 23 minutes, and they're going to bludgeon Golden State, and every shot Golden State misses just ends up in the hands of somebody from Houston like it has basically all season. Wide variety there. I'm happy that he's only like 19% owned. It helps that we got a couple other like guys on his corner a bit, but I have no problem getting to Capella. I think it's very reasonable. He'd be the guy that I'd pick that's like most likely to make me hate this, because I don't really think they need him for anything. And that's where I get a little nervous.
Yep, I think we're in agreement there. And then a couple other guys to mention: Jabari Smith, Amen Thompson. Jabari Smith dealt with a little bit of foul trouble last game. I think he could very easily play 35 minutes here. Amen Thompson was pacing for about 40 minutes last game. He has a bit of a bigger role without Kevin Durant. Also a little bit more usage, a little bit more ball handling. So you said you're pretty high on Şengün. I think like my favorite spend up on Houston would be Amen Thompson, but I like both. Again, I think Amen, assuming no foul trouble, can very easily play 40, even like 42 minutes in a spot like this in an NBA Cup game.
They were the two guys that I shouted out this morning. It was like, I want to have more Şengün. I want to have more Amen Thompson. When I started building, I just felt like I had a bit more to get to at guard than I did in that like weird power forward spot that I could sneak Şengün into. But I am equally as interested in Amen Thompson here with no Kevin Durant around. Are you interested in anything from the Golden State Warriors? Because they are unowned across the board.
No, I don't think so. The one guy getting the most ownership right now is Gary Payton, 3,400. I know his minutes have ticked up a little bit. He started last game without Draymond, but I'm okay not having Gary Payton. There's no ownership coming to the rest of this team, and I agree. I think Golden State's basically a cross-off.
Yep, completely agree with you, brother. All right, I mentioned Gravy being super interesting and that we would talk about it again. We're going to talk about it right now. Keep that promo code in your mind, everybody. Gravy is the code, but you could take that straight to OddsShopper using the link in the description, or you could type it in on your own if you'd like, but I'd prefer you click the link because then I can attribute it to me. 50% off any weekly or monthly package of Portfolio EV. You can use this in what I would say 2 ways that you'd be interested in. The first way is to just simply take a market-based approach to try to beat the books. You're going to try to get down, realistically, as many bets as you could possibly get down using the tools. They're going to be a lot smaller than you're typically using, but with all of those bets, you're grabbing incremental edges and you're grinding your way to the top. That's one way. The second way could be the way that you want to use it, which is juicing up some parlays. You can use our parlay builder, grab a bunch of positive EV legs. You could even grab like a negative EV leg for it. Check that out. You can get that in or around neutral or a little bit positive, and then find a boost at the sportsbook you're using, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel or BetMGM, whatever. You start attaching those boosts to a Portfolio EV generated parlay, and now you can feel a little bit better about some of those lottos you're tossing in because you're making sure that you're grabbing the right pieces to start. So whatever direction you want to take it, you can do it. And click that link in the description. Good for sportsbooks and pick'em sites. This isn't one or the other. You get them both. Click that link, use the promo code GRAVY, 50% off any week or month. Very easy to get in. Again, links in the description. 2 to go. Ready to close it out?
Let's do it.
Spurs Blazers. I would love to see this game like extra full strength. That is not what we're getting here. No Victor Wembanyama, obviously. Dylan Harper, welcome back. Still waiting on some Portland things, but we can talk about that in a second. Denny Avdia, 9,500, 25% owned. I'm still struggling to see that price tag, but I do love me some Denny. About 15% ownership to Donovan Clingan. About 10 for Jeremy Grant, Shaden Sharp. Keep an eye on it. Very little else happening anywhere. De'Aaron Fox, another pay-up guy that's just a ghost in ownership today. Add him to the list of Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry and the entire Oklahoma City, Minnesota game. How do you want to handle this game? Is Denny Avdia that much better than De'Aaron Fox today?
No, I don't think he's that much better. We also have to keep an eye on the status of Shaedon Sharpe. That would definitely boost up Denny if Shaedon Sharpe gets ruled out, because over the last 3 games without Sharpe, like Denny's role has been insane, averaging about 20 potential assists per game and 27% usage rate. So if Shaedon Sharpe gets ruled out, I think the ownership is correct. If Shaedon Sharpe is in, then yeah, I do think Fox is going a little underrepresented as compared to Denny. But love the spot. This is should be a fast game here, and Denny's obviously doing a little bit of everything. So totally fine. Ownership right now, like I said, kind of depends on Shaedon Sharpe. It's still fine to get to him even if Sharpe does play. Sharpe himself at 7K. I want to keep an eye on the news. I know he's been out for a few games. There's a chance he's limited, but there's also a chance he comes out and plays full minutes in a cup game. And if that's the case, I would have some interest in him for tournaments. I think Donovan Clingan is going a little bit underrepresented here. Sub 6K, his minutes are more secure. When Drew is out and if Sharpe is out too, like they're just kind of thin. I don't really think this is a game he'd get played off the court, and I think you definitely see close to 30 minutes for Clingan. So I like him a good amount there. The other wings I think are fine in Grant and Kamara. And then the opposite side, as you mentioned, De'Aaron Fox, I do like him as a tournament play. I would like him a little bit more if Dylan Harper gets ruled out. I believe Harper is still questionable, right? Or did he get ruled? He got ruled in. Okay. But yeah. I still think Fox is a solid tournament play here. I think he can very easily play 35 plus minutes, should lead the team in usage, will be the primary ball handler. And so I like that shout out in GBPs with De'Aaron Fox. The rest of San Antonio, I think is a little bit tougher to get to. I wouldn't completely rule out guys like Keldon, Sohan, Chapeni, guys like that. Probably my favorite of that group would be Keldon, but not a ton else here for the Spurs.
Yeah, I'd love to get to more Fox. My problem is just like, I don't know who it's going to be of all of these pay up dudes that no one is rostering, but I'd like to have something in it, whether it's Fox, whether it's Curry, whether it's Ant, take it down the line. Some of those guys I'm just going to have significantly more than 3% of. Who they are will completely be up in the air based on tweaking sim results. And then we get to the final game of the night. It's the last one, folks. Hit that like button. Live before lock coming up next. Phoenix Suns, Sacramento Kings. What a giant turd of a team the Sacramento Kings are. It's just they're super unfun to talk about. Luckily for us, no one cares about the Sacramento Kings on DraftKings today. 25% ownership to Mark Williams, 25% ownership to Devin Booker, 20 more for Royce O'Neal, 15 more for Goodwin, 15 more for Colin Gillespie. Even Dylan Brooks is getting a little love. The only guy getting any ownership is 7% to Malik Monk on Sacramento. There is a name I like here the most. I don't typically say it. I really like Mark Williams in this spot.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement here on Mark Williams. I know the ownership is there. That's the one downside. We have a lot of good center plays, and he is getting ownership. Yeah. But I love the matchup here, whether it be Eubanks or Achua. This is a game you could very easily see Mark Williams go for over 40 fantasy points. And so, yeah, I really like him here. I think he's one of the better center plays on the slate. And there's a lot to like in Phoenix overall. Like, they're shorthanded. They're going to run a tight rotation. Yeah. In their most recent game, basically an 8-man rotation. Rasheer Fleming played a few minutes there in the first half. But yeah, I think there's a lot to like here for Phoenix. Booker has a pretty high ceiling, like the matchup for him. Any of the wings, like Royce and Brooks, are fine. Goodwin should continue to start. Gillespie has a really nice roll off the bench. So I don't really think there's anyone else that stands out more than the rest. But just overall, I think Phoenix is definitely one of the better teams to get to on the slate.
Yeah, and it's an even better setup given the fact that it's the late game. So you got a ton of this and you don't want it as the night's going on. It's very easy to just offload it through all of these different late swap spots. Is Keegan Murray just going to play 40 minutes today?
As long as he avoids foul trouble, I think he's going to play a lot here.
He's the only person on the team that does the thing that he does, which is everything that everybody else doesn't.
Right. Yeah. So I honestly kind of like the Sacramento team for tournaments. You mentioned Murray. He's sub 1% owned. I don't love the price point for him, but
No.
like there's even a quote about, I think it was DeRozan talking about like, yeah, this is Keegan Murray's team. And so like at 1% ownership, sure, I think you take a shot on Murray. I think the minutes will be massive here, assuming no foul trouble. But a couple other guys to mention too. Dennis Schroeder is questionable, so you have to keep an eye on that. If he gets rolled out, I would have more interest in Malik Monk right now than his current ownership. I know the minutes on Monk have been a little bit up and down. I wouldn't really trust it if Schroeder plays, but if Schroeder gets rolled out, I would be a lot more confident in the minutes for Monk. And he's reasonable price point, as I said. I think he does have, he can very easily play 25 plus minutes if there's no Schroeder. And so, I think Monk is a solid GPP play. I even have some interest in Precious Achiuwa. I know that sounds really gross, but they just don't seem to want to play Drew Eubanks a lot. Only played 13 minutes last game. Achiuwa off the bench played 34 minutes. That was including one overtime. And Achiuwa is power forward eligible. I think there's a chance he starts here. And so I do have a little bit of interest in him as a contrarian play too. And then if Schroeder gets sold out, I think you could consider Westbrook. I also be a little bit more confident in his minutes. I don't love the price point for him, but could very easily see like 35 minutes from Westbrook here.
I like Keegan Murray. I don't want people to think I don't. I probably like him more than like most people like basketball players of his ilk. I'm a big fan of like guys that fit and play defense and can stretch the floor. If this is Keegan Murray's team now, they're bad. If Keegan Murray's if it's his team, that's why you're one of the worst teams in the league. And that's not about Keegan Murray, but like, well, it's got to be somebody's team. Like, it can't be Levine's and it can't be DeRozan's, and they don't like Malik Monk, and Keon Ellis they really hate, and that guy's good. So I guess it's his. But if it's Keegan Murray's team, that's probably not a good thing for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, they're really bad for a reason. So
yeah, I don't know how much money I would pay for them to have a blockbuster trade at the deadline with the Bulls, but it's probably like more than I would pay for like a lot of things I like. Because if they swap more of their stupid, shitty players to each other, I'm not going to be able, I'm going to break down on Twitter. It's going to, I don't even know how I'm going to handle it, because it will be the greatest. It will be so much entertainment. If it's like Vooch and Sabonis and like Kobe White goes one way and like Malik Monk goes out the other direction, I will pay anything for these guys to just shuffle their deck chairs and still be awful. Give me all of it.
Yeah, that would be pretty entertaining.
We have reached the end of the deeper dive, ladies and gentlemen, but we cannot go anywhere without me first doing the thing that I always do. DK, tell the people where to find you.
Okay, you guys can find me over on Tails. So doing DFS content. I do live streams every single day before lock there. And then as well as player prop stuff. So Pick'em, Prize Picks Underdog, Sportsbook stuff. All that is included there. So if you guys are interested, check me out over on Tails.
Check it out, everybody. And coming from me, this is the final time I could say it, because I'm not going to talk to you guys again until Friday. I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Watch some football, win some money, eat some turkey, enjoy yourselves, spend some time with whoever you're spending time with. And if it's just you, enjoy it. I had a solo Thanksgiving once. I drank a bunch of beers. I ate some pizza. It was ideal. DK, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Eric and Eric in the evening is here. It's live before lock time, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. Hit the like button for everybody involved. It's Thanksgiving, guys. Give thanks by hitting the like button. There's one Eric. There's two Erics. Hi, two Erics.
What's going on, guys?
You're muted, Emac. There you go.
Of course he is.
Greetings. Euphoric entertainment everywhere, keeping the E-tradition alive.
This guy.
You guys have some fun.
Guy.
Happy Thanksgiving to the Erics.
Happy
Enjoy
Thanksgiving.
the next hour
Good luck
of
to
your
your
lives,
Lions
everybody.
tomorrow, DK. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Yeah, big game. So hoping they can pull it off. We'll see.
Yeah, my Vikings are fucked. So, go Lions. They're my NFC North darling now.
Hell yeah. All right. See you guys.
Bye, gentlemen.
Adios, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All righty. Good, sir. What's going on?
Not much. Just firing up some final stuff here. I'm reintroducing Duke's Nukes for tonight, so we'll also get the overlay in there. So help you out. Click on
Okay.
that, and we're all set to rock.
All right. Well, I'm sharing the screen. I'm playing on all 3 sites, but I got a bailout point.
God.
There's only one game at 7 o'clock. No. There's only one game at 7 o'clock. And if I don't get Karl Anthony Towns or Jalen Brunson, I'm okay with that because my lineups are coming out in the Sims heavily balanced to the late slate. The last 3 games, if you run FanDuel stuff, which we will hear in a little bit, I think the top 4 players were all Phoenix Suns if you didn't do any settings on the Sims. So we shall see. So a lot of fun going on here. Shout out there to Clintwood. Who else is in there? Malakar, good times ahead. Good luck with your Detroit Lions tomorrow. Steven Leibowitz, good times. AJ Dub, I'm assuming that is you there. It's funny when everybody's names periodically changes back and forth here with whatever the hell YouTube is doing with their naming convention. Sometimes it's your username, sometimes it's your display name. Who knows? All right, let's look at some of our injury news. We just learned that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still questionable with that illness.
He's going to play.
Absolutely nothing. I think he's going to play as well. Yeah. In the early games, we got everything taken care of. LaMelo Ball, Kalkbrenner, Brandon Miller, Mitchell Robinson, they are all in. If we look at the next wave, that's where Minnesota sits and OKC sits and Miami. Giannis Antetokounmpo, questionable. Now, he's missed a couple games with whatever malady he has at this point. I can't remember if it's knee adductor or midsection, but this game is an NBA Cup game. So I like that the NBA did this to maybe encourage a few more teams to play better players rather than starting the holiday early. But if Gilgeous-Alexander is out, then we're going to look to some secondary players from the Thunder. If Giannis is out, same thing. My assumption is, pressure test this, please. My assumption is if both play, they should be at least close to 90% of health. Correct?
Agreed.
All right. RJ Barrett is out. He is going to miss probably 10 days with the sprained knee. RIP, my best ball teams and my season long. I had a ton of RJ Barrett somehow. But that's going to open things up for the now Big Two for Toronto. So we get Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, who are the second and third leading scorer on the team, right in there with RJ Barrett. Those guys probably, by the time everybody's done missing various games, each one of them is probably going to be averaging 20 points per game this season, which is quite the turnaround there for Toronto. They stuffed the stat sheet in all categories. They're going against Indianapolis, which not that great on defense. So they're interesting. Emmanuel Quickly, he has an excellent floor. His shooting has improved dramatically this season, as has his steals and his assist rate. I guess that's when you have good teammates to pass the ball to, Eric. They look pretty good. Zach Edey, questionable. I'm not too fired up for him either way. Shaedon Sharpe, also questionable on the later slate. And then Dennis Schroeder. We don't have information on him yet, but I don't think anybody really wants to be playing any Sacramento Kings, probably outside of Zach Lee. And even then, minimal representation. Anything else standing out that I missed or you're waiting on? I guess the Derek Queen, Yves Missi, potential starting.
If you get mad about Tristan Vucevic and my nuke yesterday, I really don't care. I can't have a better year of nukes. So I'm here to nuke a slate. I'm here to win some money today, ready to rock. I think you brought up everything pretty much in depth there. I was listening a little bit as I was getting Duke's nukes out for the people over on Tails, over on X. So ready to rock for that. I've got a couple of interesting tournament plays for today. I've got a couple of other guys that I think are just way over-owned. That's kind of like every show that I've ever done here. So having some stands, having some opportunity to talk about what I think we're doing a really good job of here or on the Stokastic side. Let's rock.
All right. Let's see. We hit all the news. Some surprising. So I've got the Boom Bust tool up here. Not a ton of awesome leverage options here. Santi Aldama up near the top. This is on DraftKings. Malik Monk is up there. His minutes are just so dicey at this point. The Sacramento Kings just hate themselves. So God only knows what they're
Schroeder
going on.
questionable changes it like in a very big way. Like, I mean, if Schroeder sits, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Malik Monk. Like,
because Sabonis is still out for those of you that may not have been playing Sacramento recently. The guy I want to bring up is TJ McConnell, because he has quite the popularity on DraftKings, 33.2%, currently the most popular player. There's Ingram and Josh Okogie are pretty close. He is well down the list on FanDuel to almost being irrelevant completely at 5.9%. The 4,600 is a big deal. The 3,600 on DraftKings is a big deal. Last I looked, we had him projected for about 19 minutes. I was thinking somewhere between 18 and a half or 19. If we're going 19, I want to go a tick under. But DK was covering all the things he does, the usage, the potential assists, just his hands are everywhere when he is on the court, but he is getting older. And even last year, I think he had 6 games of more than 24 minutes. So they have not been playing him a lot for quite some time.
Yeah, and he got ramped up.
But you trust him after I set the stage there. What are your thoughts?
No, I don't. I don't trust anything going on with this. So if you watched last game, if you were paying attention to last game, there were some massive fouls on the Benedict Mathurin side of things. And they ended up sharing the floor together to start off that fourth quarter. But I have a feeling TJ McConnell probably would have been shown the exit sign in the event that Benedict Mathurin hadn't picked up that 5th foul very, very early on. Ended up just kind of being a long stint of TJ McConnell without Benedict Mathurin on the floor. This is a guy whose usage has gone up from around 22, 23% to 27% over the course of the season, by far the highest of his career. You go back to his Arizona days, he was in alpha, go out, Caleb Love style shooting. Like, just go out there and, hoist it up immediately, because that's what Arizona needed him to do. And he was very, very good at it. But I cannot tell you enough how uncomfortable it is when you get popular chalk early on a slate that does have some late breaking news. We've got Zach Edey, we've got Dennis Schroeder. So what you're seeing in terms of the optimal percentage being 4 or 5% higher, that's relative to the news that we have right now with everybody in the position or in the projections. I am obsessed with just jamming Malik Monk on this slate. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with the opportunity if Dennis Schroeder sits. And if he doesn't, I at least have the information of what happened with a chalky TJ McConnell to be able to really understand what I want to do with my lineups. But we've seen so many times in years past where when everybody's active, it's just so hard for him to find a minutes ceiling. Now, 22 minutes is the highest number that we've seen for him by far this season, 5 minutes higher than anywhere else. But I think it was almost forced to some extent because of that foul trouble for Benedict Mathurin. And as such, do you really want to be doing it? Now, when I say jamming, I'm jamming him knowing that I'm probably going to turn him into other pieces. And there's a chance that you get Dennis Schroeder in and he doesn't look as good. But if you're telling me that everybody is going to play a guy you can only play in 3 lineup positions on DraftKings in 35% of their lineups, we've got him in at 33%, 38% optimal. But there's late breaking news that could really change this and skew this to like 20%, 25% Malik Monk. I'm not smart enough to do the math on that. I mean, that's why we've got the team behind us that we do. But I do know common sense DFS, and I understand how we can potentially slide Monk into more lineups and then just have some late swappability as the night goes on. We're going to get clarification on Edey, who I don't think is going to play for what it's worth. And Jock Landale, I was going to make him nuke of the night. I'm not going to because I've got another guy kind of in mind for what I want to do for that. But boy, could that look ridiculous. We have so many guys. Santi Aldama walking into a larger role there as well. The guy that you've got at the top of your screen, I'm obsessed with Santi Aldama on today's slate. Like, Memphis is a huge part of my portfolio right now. That game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm just kind of throwing all of those takes all together in one little bow here early on, because I think that's going to be the main thing that we're paying attention to is like, what other news can show up? What other value can we snag with one game starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time? And then people who will not swap out or into as much of the later breaking value as they should. We've seen softer DFS tournaments. We've seen better results in the post-contest sims. At least I have in my lineups this year. Hasn't resulted in massive wins, but I look at Zach Edey. I look at Dennis Schroeder. I look at Shaedon Sharpe. We still have a lot of news that can break really positively for us, EMAC. And as such, I just need to hit eject on that kind of a number on TJ McConnell, who I currently have in for 20 minutes, and that is a problem.
All right. I was just doing a little quick look there. I had the basketball reference page up for Santi Aldama. He did start last game. He played just over 30 minutes. He started the 2 prior to that, played around 30 minutes in each.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. That's not that's a huge difference.
Did that? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were breaking that news right here.
No. I'm saying that when you look at him getting the starts, it's like almost not applicable, mainly because Jaren Jackson Jr. is back. So they're going to play Santi off the bench, almost like there's just no chance, even with Zach Edey potentially out. And that's kind of what I'm leaning towards for him. I just don't find it all that interesting to try to say Santi Aldama is starting, but like, I really don't want him to start because I don't want people to swap onto him. I really want to just play him no matter what.
Okay. That was the part I was missing on that. So, okay. Excellent.
You're good.
I see maybe chat's a little behind. They're saying, what do we do there for TJ? The answer is I don't really want to play him. How about we compromise? We come in, if the field's going to be 30%, we come in 10 or 15.
I have 10
right now.
Have
some lineups with him, but then you're still going to have a chance to really make some differences there. He is not in play on FanDuel, in my opinion. He's not a play on Yahoo, in my opinion. It's DraftKings only, and it's a price. It's a function of the price point. If he were 4,000, he would be 11% probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing 150 tonight on DraftKings. I love that we get the full slate over there. It's really, really fun. So I just kind of want to support everything over there. I'm playing single entry over there, playing 150, playing 20 max, playing everything. So I'm not even playing FanDuel today because it's nice to have, DK incorporate all of the 7 p.m. my time games, 10 p.m. for all the other fellers. But this is going to be an awesome late swap opportunity slate. We don't get a ton of those anymore, and I want to take advantage. So I think this is going to be the day. I do think Jakob Poeltl's probably the more interesting guy purely because him, Isaiah Hartenstein. I also like Hartenstein. Talked about him a little bit on a DK Pick 6 video today. There are lots of ways where his minutes get extended in this spot. Now, I assume SGA plays. I think we all do. If SGA doesn't play, everything I'm saying about TJ McConnell applies even more because we'll be able to get to like Kaysen Wallace 4,500, Isaiah Joe 4,200, Caruso 4K. Like we're just going to play like the whole team. Like even Dort probably comes into play. Holmgren would become one of the best plays, if not the best play of the entire slate. I probably look at this team right now as just like not even mattering on this slate, but Isaiah Hartenstein, I can definitely make a case as my favorite for Oklahoma City purely because of the front court on the other side. Everybody's minutes have been really, really neutralized, but like especially so for Hartenstein. They had a 30-point blowout against Portland. He only played 22 minutes. A 30-point blowout against Utah. They only played 24 minutes. I mean, it's just been ass kicking after ass kicking that Oklahoma City's handed out. They've lost one game this year. It's ridiculous, but Minnesota's always been competitive. Ant's going to go in going 100 miles per hour. I'm pretty excited to watch this game. And I think Hartenstein just kind of fits the mold of the guy who could potentially outperform his salary relative to like everybody else in that range just by walking into 28, 30 minutes for the first time in a week and a half. So yeah, I really like that idea as a tournament play, but just you had to.
Well, I was going to bring up the promo code Gravy.
Sure you were.
The promo code Gravy, not to be confused with lotion. The promo code Gravy, a great accoutrement there in addition to Thanksgiving meals, especially leftovers. Promo code Gravy. Keep saying that because it's simple. Gravy, gravy, gravy gets 50% off any Stokastic package. 50% off any week OddsShopper package. You got to use it. 50% off tails. Promo code Gravy. It's a pretty good deal. Not going to last too long. This is for Black Friday. So there we are.
I hate you. Why do you hate me so much?
I wanted us to have a holiday moment here. Happy olden days because I'm old. Happy golden days. Happy. You're not going to say your favorite saying?
I'm not.
I'm very sad.
It's okay. I love you anyway.
I'm very sad. All right. What other fun do we have? Let's take a peek here. Was there any other if-thens that were popping out here for you that we should look at a little boom bust action, or I will start running?
Yeah. One thing we could do, we could talk the Shaden Sharp piece, mainly because we have not seen him since 1994, it feels like, even though it's been like a week or whatever. We do see some of these prices start to get to a place where if he continues to be out, it's not as advantageous as it once was. And so, like, we have other spots, specifically looking at Dennis Schroeder, who still plays off the bench, but like, there's no reason that he couldn't potentially walk himself into a larger role in the event that, you know, everybody else I'm specifically bringing up Malik Monk off that bench, or Precious Achiuwa. Like, there's lots of ways where that could potentially still be kind of the way that it goes about. Like, we can still find ourselves onto value pieces, cheaper pieces than they should be if he's out, but doesn't really apply as much. It's basically Deni Avdija or pass on the entire team. So like, there's not a lot of late swap to be found for that one specifically. So always be conscious of that as you're trying to like identify some of your late swap targets. Some people get in the habit of just trying to react to any piece of news and say, oh, well, you know, if he ends up, it's more of like players go from being luxury items around Deni Avdija to being like completely unplayable if you get Shaden Sharp in there. But how about Shaden Sharp specifically if he ends up playing? Like, that's the guy at 7K. I mean, it's a high point for him, but he had been playing like 38, 39 minutes in competitive spots. He played 39 minutes against Dallas. I mean, it's a lot higher than we had typically seen. And I don't think having a week off, having him just walk back into the mix is super likely with a calf problem. But 32, 34 minutes of Shaden Sharp is still something that can go completely ballistic, EMAC.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what is your kind of cutoff? I had 33 in mind.
Yeah, I think that's the right range. I think that's what we've had projected most of the day.
We got him down to 29.5.
Yeah, so I mean, it was lower now than what I think it was earlier potentially, but I mean, that makes sense to me. I just want to let it be known that is like your mean projection. We're aiming for that. Like, there's not a reason that he can't walk in. We have him at 30.5 right now. I see 30.5. So that's pretty nice. Let me double check, make sure that I'm right about that. Portland. Yeah, you're right. We dipped him down another minute, which is fine. Like, again, I'm looking for Shaden Sharp to go out and score 40 actual points in those kind of situations. He can do that in 30, 32 minutes. But yeah, I think that that's probably the right path. Just, yeah, I'll rerun stuff after this now, because again, that was like before the show that I had updated that. And now taking another minute off the top definitely doesn't look as good. We got Josh Hart starting again. So second start of the season, Josh Hart worked pretty well last time.
Always a triple-double threat. I believe that game is in Queen City. Is it?
Yep, in Charlotte.
It is in Charlotte. Well, one of several cities that refer to themselves as Queen City. So there we go. Oh, a lot of cities named after queens, so including Queens. Who knew? All right. I'm looking here at DraftKings. Ran the unencumbered Sims here. They are really pushing Deni Avdija. Obviously, TJ McConnell is going off the charts here. For those that have not used the Sims a lot, since we are running some of these deals here, we've got some new people in. When you see a disparity like this for someone as dicey as TJ McConnell, there's the difference if someone is going to play, is coming into a starting role, is going to probably play 28 minutes and they're at his price. We know his role. We know they're not going to push him. They're easing him back in after his missed time. What circumstances would it take for you to go much over the field? And how would you approach tamping this thing? Or would you?
So it depends. Again, the TJ McConnell thing, again, it's all relative to what happens if the slate started right now. Mm-hmm. Like, if the slate started right now, this is what the Sims are giving you. The Sims aren't telling you what is going to happen potentially later on in the evening. It's not making the best guesses. It's not taking into account Q tags. It's not taking into account anything that could potentially break your way and change the slate. Because let's say Malik Monk was available to us right now. Go ahead. Go change Malik Monk's projection. Add 4 or 5 fantasy points to it. See what happens if you knew Dennis Schroeder was out right now. I guarantee you're going to trim down on TJ McConnell now. Let's take Zach Edey off the floor. Bet you get a lot of Memphis pieces that are not showing up in your top right now. And so that's why late swap is so valuable. And that's why I always talk about later news. I talk about it in the NFL. I talk about it here. Less applicable in MLB all the time, unless you're just lineups are dead or, you want to get off of some major chalk there. But you can usually find ways to maneuver it around in MLB that, again, it's not as interesting as talking about it here, but it is so impactful in NBA DFS because it's just a different situation. If you knew Shaedon Sharpe was out, I'd have a lot more Denny Avdia than I do right now. There's just lots of ways that we can find little edges, or not even little, gigantic edges on a slate like this. And so I think that's kind of what I'm embracing. If I have to play more of some uncomfortable pieces later because all of the news goes against me, so be it. But I also get the comfort of knowing exactly what TJ McConnell actually did, and I can make those pivots. Like, I can't reverse engineer and get the 35 fantasy points he puts up if he does that. But if he puts up 20, think about what a great situation you're in. He's a great fantasy producer. He's going to be better than a fantasy point per minute forever. Like, that's just kind of who TJ McConnell is. But if he plays 20 minutes, or if because he got to 22 minutes with Benedict Mather in foul trouble, if I'm correct about such things, there's a chance he only plays 18 today. And that's kind of what they want to do for him. And you could really find a floor potentially in those kind of minutes. So I like the idea of being underweight to him. And I'm generally a TJ McConnell stan. I think he's the best piece of value we have right now, but there could be lower owned value coming later that I prefer taking that path.
All right, and hopefully we get a little bit of that coming out at the 6:30 injury report here. So that is our TJ McConnell segment part 2. Hopefully we don't need to do a part 3, but it's important with the game order right now, definitely, as Eric has demonstrated. All right, we have a request from Corey Shea, super chat there. 3 favorite single entry plays on DraftKings. My bonus play would to not play TJ McConnell. That's 3.5. What do you like here for three players you want to build around in single entry?
That's kind of tough because I'm making some assumptions in my single entry lineup.
How many Phoenix players would you go to?
Mark Williams, Colin Gillespie. I'd be fine with 2.
Okay. How do you feel about Reed Shepherd? Because he's someone that's been popping up.
I might nuke his props after this show. I don't know what to make of it. It's obvious that when you have Reed Shepherd starting and he's not coming off the bench, avoiding like one of Kevin Durant or Amin Thompson in the lineup, that we were going to see his production come down. But his props are staggeringly low relative to last game. Like, I would say staggeringly low. And different matchups, different situations. You look at Houston going up against Golden State. Golden State's not going to be pushing the pace, not going to be very helpful in that department. But, I mean, Phoenix, they only had to play 27 minutes. It ended up being a blowout. Put up 13 PRA, and I think we're just kind of getting a discount on him. I want to play him 5,600. I think he's probably my safety valve with some of the late exposure that I have because I just like him a lot today. And I think there's a lot of value potentially for him from a betting perspective as well. Kind of felt that all day, but there's just so much news that's going to be breaking that I didn't go completely crazy the way I do night before, morning of. I post less as the day goes on purely because lines get more efficient, but I don't find them to be very efficient right now. I just have a pretty wide discrepancy between what I think Reed Shepherd can do and between what the market is currently saying. I mean, I'll pull it up here because I've got all my prop stuff sitting here. 21.5 available at Fanatics, 22 over at Prize Picks, 22.5 kind of the marketplace numbers. This dude was like at 26, 27.5 coming off of last game, and it was a blowout. I don't blame him for anything that happened. I do expect his rates to come down significantly playing alongside a Kevin Durant for a majority of his minutes, but Kevin Durant's out for today. So, like, what are we doing? Like, him starting out there with Şengün, Jabari Smith, I just think that there's still a ton of opportunity. And Amin Thompson, I think, is an awesome tournament play as well today. His minutes have been ridiculous. Have you seen how much he's played the last couple without Kevin Durant in there? It's absurd. Like, I think he is really one of my favorite spend-up dudes to get to.
So Alperen Şengün is where I was kind of leading this. Drop that link there into chat for the free DFS
Power forward
article, breaking that one down. Talk about 3 games tonight here. So Şengün is someone that I really like that he now officially has power forward eligibility on both sides. That is a nice addition there. As you mentioned, Durant is out for personal reasons. Adams is out with an ankle. Tarius and Dorian Finney-Smith not going to play for a little while here. So it tweaked their starting lineup somewhat as well. But he and it's like the non-traditional facilitators, him and Amen Thompson and even Reed Shepherd, who is kind of more like I think of him more as an off-ball guard than a point guard. But those guys together make for a really interesting grouping on the court, because they should be better than each of the people that is defending them from a passing perspective for the Warriors. The other nice thing about Şengün, there's only Draymond Green right now. Kuminga is out. Horford is out with a hamstring issue. So you're looking at, I don't know, Quentin Post is like their next. I don't think they'll put Trace Jackson-Davis out there. So Draymond's probably going to have to mark Şengün's minutes, but anything that Şengün gets without Draymond on the court, he should just crush. So I really like him tonight. He would be a guy I'd want on that single entry lineup.
This too, man. Capella 3K feels either really good or really trappy. I mean, there are no rules. When I saw Clint Capella showed up, oh shit, Giannis is out. Okay, I didn't expect that today. That's not as interesting as it might have been, because we've still got a 8,400 Ryan Rollins, but Bobby Portis.
Apparently KPJ's getting close to a return as well. So we'll see what happens with that Ryan Rollins.
Oh my God.
So talk about Capella, and then we'll let them get the updates in here on the tools and do another run. We should have some more news breaking since the 6:30 injury report's hitting now. But Capella at 3,000 even on DraftKings becomes, and I would rather play him than McConnell, but it is just as fraught with peril as McConnell is here. I prefer Steven Adams, but we got to remember Capella is a capable rebounder. He's good around the paint. He can work from the dunker spot. Those are all good things, but there's too many other things tonight that I'd rather get to than Capella.
I agree. It's an opportunity cost thing to some extent, but I will say this.
It's tempting as hell. Oh, shit. 3 quick fouls on Şengün. Guess who's coming in the game? And then you get 21 minutes of Capella. Now it's interesting.
It's just so annoying, dude. It's a really annoying price tag on a guy that has been a decent fantasy performer, somebody that, we played all the time in Atlanta. But, they could just as easily in this matchup, too. I know he hasn't really been dusted off at all this year. Like 0%. I think 8 minutes is high point, but there's no reason against Golden State you can't play some Jeff Green if you really wanted to get cute. Yeah. I think Jabari Smith, probably looking at these guys are playing massive minutes right now. It's been a very condensed rotation for the most part in Houston. That kind of makes everybody pretty appealing to me, because I just feel like in a competitive game environment, which this projects out to be, we could see huge minutes. Like if you just sort by minutes in our table today, we have Amen Thompson at 38.5. Again, one of my favorite tournament plays of the slate today. Alperen Şengün is third in minutes at 36.5. Jabari Smith is like seventh in our minutes projection, 35 and change. Whether you want to say it's NBA Cup or whatever else it is, it just has to do with the fact that with Kevin Durant out, they just keep playing these guys more minutes rather than dive into the bench. I'm probably with you where Clint Capella. I mean, this could just go horrendously wrong. So like, I'm going to have a little bit, but if I were playing one lineup, there's no chance he cracks it, like a 0% chance. But I feel like even in 20 max, I'll have a little. I'll have like maybe 10% there. My 150, I was always going to get to a little at 3K flat. He's by far the most appealing player at that number, but it's a disturbing play.
What about, back to, I'm seeing, I just want to show everybody, Boom Bust tool again, updated. It doesn't have the last 3 minutes worth of news in there, but we can see that already just with a few other updates, the top has changed for leverage purposes, right? So now all of a sudden Malik Monk is looking okay. Portal is popping up there. Gillespie kind of crushing or not slotting in out of nowhere. Aldama falls. If we look at FanDuel, Precious Ochiuwa is now up near the top. Now that 6.9% is pretty nice, but it's not the same as what Aldama was there. What is the fascination here with Precious Ochiuwa?
Well, I took his 7.5 points on a pick'em card as well. Again, it was like it was mainly revolved around a Davion Mitchell play, so it was a very small allocation. But I look at Precious Achiuwa and the minutes last time out, competitive spot against Minnesota. It's a little inflated because of overtime, but 29 minutes, 34 over the entire course of the game, 29 regulation. Like Precious Achiuwa has played pretty well for them, and it's just a spot where Sacramento's been so dog shit, so awful that like there's really no rules to what they can or can't do with some of these guys' minutes. I feel like Precious is a little bit undervalued pretty much everywhere. So at 4,300, I kind of like getting to his price tag. I obviously brought up Malik Monk, 4,400. Keanu Ellis is probably just like out of this rotation again. Wouldn't shock me if we just saw him again if you had no Dennis Schroeder out there, and he's 3K, but Precious Achiuwa for Sacramento there. I just kind of like getting to some of the late pieces. I always have. And because we haven't had like some of these type of slates on DraftKings in a while, the reason I really wanted to play 150 was just,
yeah.
You don't say that, Homer James. You don't say that. You don't say that.
Pop up Clint Wood 86s.
Oh, we'll do that for you here as well. My guy, Clint Leatherwood. Awesome people. Shout out Texas. Can I fade the first game in cash? Thanks, fellas. You were so very welcome. You were very, very welcome, as always. Let me just kind of pull that one back up because you got the Knicks. You got Charlotte. Nuke of the night specialist, Karl Anthony Towns, back from 2 days ago. Boy, that one felt good. You probably don't need him whatsoever. You probably don't need to have to play him in cash. I think you want to make sure Denny Avdia is in that cash lineup no matter what, because if he doesn't have Shaedon Sharpe on the floor, I would really prefer him. And if I get stuck with it, it's like a difference in like a fantasy point of projection. So my tiebreaker for that is like, there's just such an upside for what Denny Avdia can have. And for all intents and purposes, it's, you know, like it's like 51-49 in terms of Karl Anthony Towns as it stands right now. That would definitely swing in Denny's favor if you didn't have Sharpe out on the floor. So I think as much as I think Cat is the most appealing guy to get to in that game, I don't think you have to. Like, I probably would say, yes, completely fade the first game in cash.
I'm comfortable with that as well. Now that I'm seeing, you know, like 25% of Karl Anthony Towns, I'd be interested in getting some on both of the main sides. If I don't, that's okay. That was a message for Eric. But if seeing them pop up and bubble up a little bit more with each release of information, I don't think I want to go over the field on them for all the reasons Eric has stated, but I don't want to be left without, because it's tradition in Charlotte to be very hospitable, and that means allowing opponents to score 120 points a game. So especially as we head into the holidays. So pimento sandwiches for all, although I guess that's more South Carolina than Carolina. It's close. It's close. It's in Charlotte. Eric could hit a golf ball into South Carolina from Charlotte.
Probably.
Pretty
Hell yeah, brother. All I know is that when I went to Augusta for the Masters, South Carolina is like super close to Augusta. Like I could definitely hit a golf ball into South Carolina from Georgia. I'm not sure about the inverse. I'm not sure the geography of all such things, even though I've spent a lot more of my life than you might expect in North Carolina. Yeah, I've been to North Carolina throughout my life. I absolutely love that place. South Carolina, Charleston's fine. Been to some other nice spots there, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Have you ever had the Southern breakfast? Biscuits and gravy. Biscuits and gravy. Promo code gravy gets you 50% off.
You're embarrassing.
Any Stokastic weekly or max package, as well as any OddsShopper package, as well as Tails. There was a question in chat, someone that put in the message saying, hey, I'm getting this code that won't let me use the promo. It says something about this is only for not for business purposes. I reached out to support. I think that message comes up if you are already a subscriber of that particular package. So one, that could be an issue, and two, you may want to try clearing cash, and that could be impacting you as well. Clearing cache in history, right? Your browser could be holding fragmented data. We've got a super chat here. 2v2, Denny Abdia and Ryan Rollins, or I'm going to assume it is Amen Thompson, and who is Penguin? Oh, Şengün. Do you think it's Şengün? That would be an autocorrect maybe for Şengün.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, he does that. He says that a couple lines later. Şengün. He means Şengün and Thompson.
I mean, Rollins went from being the most overpriced player on the entire slate by a mile to potentially being in play. I will say this, my brain still cannot process Ryan Rollins being projected for like 43 fantasy points. It still cannot do it. It still can't. But he's projected for north of 43 fantasy points right now. There's tons of leverage coming in on him at the moment. For me, the thing is just staring down the barrel of a 45 with Bobby Portis. I can't imagine there's a world where I don't have a ton of Bobby Portis today. Kyle Kuzma, I'm sure, congratulations on his 90 fantasy points, because I will never play him in these kind of spots still now that his price is where it is. But the amount of Bobby Portis and Miles Turner I'm probably going to have.
I think you're forgetting someone. If you look at the screen. Cole Anthony. What are you going to do with Cole Anthony now? Look at that. One little piece of news, and the entire Boom Bust tool flipped yet again. Yeah. That's why you guys got to have the tools. This stuff changes constantly for NBA.
It's just disturbing. That's too high of a number, by the way. There's not another piece that's sitting out here. I mean, what's really swung for the pendulum to get his minutes to that point? That's too many minutes. We had him play 22, 21. He played 18 last game against Portland. He had 14 the game before. I don't see how we get 25 fantasy points for him today. Let me rerun this on my end quick, because
we've got him for
a little heavy.
Yeah, 17.8 minutes into 20. Yeah, sorry, that's a good call out there.
There's no way. That's absurd. I think that's an insane projection right now. We're projecting him to be like a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy.
Something, yeah.
That's a little heavy. So I'm not sure if that's going on the back end here. If we could do anything with that, but I don't agree with that. That's way too heavy.
All right. We got a super chat here asking about tiers. So let's go through that real quick. And then we can start getting serious about our final runs here, because we should see the dust settle a little more. Do you have tiers information up, or would you like me to?
Yeah, you go mainly because I'm going to send a note in case we have that, because he's at a 1.43 fantasy point per minute rate. That's too much.
Yep. All righty. So tier 1 is SGA, Şengün, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Curry. I would lean towards Towns a little bit, but that's going to lose you the flexibility of waiting on SGA. So if you go SGA, you still kind of have the bailout there for Şengün. So there's a little strategy there. You know what? Go with SGA and then see what happens, and then back off to Şengün or even Curry if you need to. Tier 2, Ball's going to be popping up there, but he has been playing about 27 or so minutes per game. At some point, he'll get back up into the low 30s. Who knows when that is? I would take Abdia pretty easily there as the third option. In tier 3, it's really Brunson versus Barnes versus Hero. Ryan Rollins is also lurking in that tier, going against Miami, that is playing at one of the fastest paces of all time, with essentially the lowest pick and roll and lowest screen rates that we have seen in NBA history since they have started tracking that. I still don't want to go to Rollins. I'd probably take Brunson there. Tier 4, you got Zion, you got Amen Thompson, Julius Randle. I would go with Amen Thompson on that one. In tier 5, Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges. You really want Bam Adebayo in tier 5. And then tier 6, it's either going to be Trey Murphy against a shorthanded Memphis squad or Benedict Mathurin against Toronto. That would be your tiers for today. Do you have any tiers yet as a JJ McCarthy fan?
You're really mean. That was honestly the worst thing you've ever said to me. I award you no points. May God have mercy on your soul. I hate you, and I hate JJ McCarthy. God damn it, Emac,
It happens.
killing me.
It happens. I'm enjoying the Sam Darnold experience. How lucky did the Seahawks get to move on from Russell Wilson, move on from Geno Smith, at least luck into what appears to be an adequate quarterback.
Wow.
As long as he doesn't have to make a second read, and as long as he has JSN. So
Killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
oh, you want to play? You want to play the bit?
Yep, it's time.
Unveil it. I can you do the media?
You want me to do it?
I don't know where it is.
But when I click it, everybody loses their minds.
We've waited for it. Here it is. Autastic, this is for you. The Eric Lindquist nuke of the night.
Yeah, yesterday was my worst nuke of the season, but coming off of the year of nukes that I've been having that have absolutely won people money, I really, really don't care because I can absolutely get it back for you, friends. And we're going to get it back in the form of the one, the only, Malik Monk. There was just no other way to go about it. I wanted to get away from this in some way, shape, or form. He's already a little bit more popular than I've typically had some of my nukes here, but we saw him walk into the 26 minutes the last two. If his minutes are up, for whatever reason, his price tag went from 5K to 4,500 to 4,400. And I don't think he's a bad play now. I think he's an actual good play now. His shot was just broken to start off the season, and, well, it's not broken anymore. It really came on strong. 41.8% from three, and we got to look a little bit. I'm not a home road three-point guy, but he's been shooting 46% from three at home. I mean, this guy just kind of is starting to really show out a little bit. I'm not sure if that's because they just decide, hey, we need to get some trade value from him. We got Keon Ellis, who's a defensive specialist behind it. We can figure out some ways to maneuver around this roster coming up to the deadline and such is life. But late news, whatever ends up happening throughout this slate with Shaden Sharp, with Dennis Schroeder, I'm going to be able to have a lot more late plays because I do like Houston as a whole. Brought up Reed Shepherd, brought up other pieces, but I think he's positively leveraged in our tools for a very, very, very good reason. Malik Monk, nuke of the night.
All right. I'm duly impressed. Would that count for both sites?
Let me take a look at FanDuel. I've been playing both sites a lot because they included the late games on DK today. I didn't even look at FanDuel one time. So I'll pull that up. Yeah, 4,400 sounds great. Sounds nifty. Hi, Malik Monk. How are you this fine day? Precious Achua, don't sleep on him. We talked about him as well. I know they talked about him at the tail end of the last show. I really like the idea of getting to a lot of late news, late opportunities here, and Malik Monk just that's really nifty to me. Him off the bench too. I don't really care that it's off the bench at all. Looks like Cole Anthony. It doesn't matter if he's off the bench either for us. But yeah, lots of ways where I think we can take advantage in our lineups of some late stuff. I'm not certain enough about the Memphis stuff as much as what I was before. I'm seeing some stuff over on X, some other people talking about maybe Zach Edey actually plays. I don't think he does, but I can't do the Jock Landale thing until I know that Zach Edey's out. But just by stacking up all the late stuff, I'm going to be fine no matter what.
All right. My nuke is going to be Ryan Rollins here because FanDuel 7,700. Big difference from 8,000. So let me upload my FanDuel lineups here. I will run you guys some DK action there. It's going to be a fun one tonight, Eric. It's going to be a long wait between game sets, though, with those 3 late games and so much PMR remaining. I think I'll have to start writing the Thursday Night Football article.
Good Lord.
That sounds like a plan.
I was going to say, I got to record NFL Indies tonight at some point. I've got 3 games to break down for the people, and then obviously NFL Live Before Lock tomorrow. So that'll be early in the morning. It'll be fun.
All right. I'm going to run these lineups. For those wondering, we did tick Cole Anthony down a tiny bit on his point per dollar, but it is about 1.33 on DraftKings now on just under 18 minutes. Which player are you afraid of not having enough of? It's going to be someone in the early game, maybe?
I don't know. Apparently Cole Anthony based on our projections, but
there's still time to massage to get, because he's a couple games away. So
trimmed it down at least. All right, we trimmed it down a tiny bit there. That's fine by me. I guess the one I'm worried about is that I'm not playing a lot of Jalen Brunson. I have no Jalen Brunson really against Charlotte. Anybody going up against Charlotte is traditionally a pretty good target, and for me, it's just not going to be a spend up at the point guard position for a 9K Jalen Brunson kind of day. You got 35% usage coming off the bench in Jordan Clarkson right now. I mean, that's what he had in the last game. I mean, just ridiculous amount of chuckery going on from Jordan Clarkson off the bench. And Karl Anthony Towns, you get the Mitchell Robinson stuff that I thought would show back up in our lives, but now that's, a little bit muted now that Josh Hart's just going to be continuing to start there. Not that I was imagining some crazy workload for Mitchell Robinson, but off the bench, obviously this gets a little bit dicey. But yeah, Jalen Brunson just not going to be a dude that I have a ton of, considering Josh Hart can trip a little bit of that off. Karl Anthony Towns, they're just up there in price. You're really paying the full freight at 9K for him. So yeah, it's unfortunate, is what it is, but I'm definitely sitting sub 10% Jalen Brunson, and I'm terrified of that one.
Yeah, I do not have a lot, it looks like. I'm just capping some of these other guys here. I see people wonder why all the people that bitch when I talk about FanDuel, which I'm trying to do more this season because they keep the late slates on. I've been playing more over there, and everybody, when we only talk about DK, everybody gets pissed about that. So let's relax. We're going to try to cover everything. At least I don't bring up Yahoo that much anymore because they effectively killed their sports aside from NFL. But play on the sites where it's a little easier. FanDuel, Yahoo, your money goes farther, I promise you, because there's less content out there for it. But that is the way it goes. So I did 150 here. I'm only going to upload 50, but so let me go back and do that. I put some exposure caps here on some of the guys. I put TJ McConnell down to 15. I get an awful lot of Mark Williams, but it's a very intriguing price.
Mark Williams, I love. I'm never going to be against. Also, just having late news. Again, whenever there's chalk that exists late, I feel better about it. Or sorry, if there's plays from the Sims that they're overweight to and it's late, I always feel better about it. Look at the Jamal Shed ownership. This one freaked me out.
I was going to call that out. What do you think about that? Because I liked Emmanuel quickly earlier today, and I'm getting above the field, but damn, Jamal Shed's sneaking in there.
Yeah, I talked about him quite a bit on the last slate. I didn't end up on a ton purely because it just feels like these minutes are going to be very difficult, but Jamal Shed's a guy who can get a double-double for you through the assist path at some point in time. I look at some of his props, 3,800. There's no pivot off of, going straight over to TJ McConnell, but he's now played 24 minutes back-to-back games. He's in this rotation. He had been like, quote unquote, too good for them last year when they were just trying to tank and suck and do all of that stuff. Jamal Shed had some really weird rotations, but I have no problem getting to more of him there. I guess there's Zach Edey on track to play. That's great to get that news now. Thank God. All right. I got to make some changes to my stuff here as well. But Jamal Shed going to be one of those dudes that no matter what, when he's sub 4K, maybe you run into a blowout, unlikely still, even though Indiana is complete dust so far this season, or just pretty much the rest of the way, because they buried themselves such a hole you really can't get out of it. But I do like the idea of getting to a little bit of Jamal Shed at 24 minutes. You maybe get that 20-minute flat line TJ McConnell. If he beats him 1-for-1, that looks pretty good. In the Sims, I'm glad that I'm getting to a little bit of him here.
All right, we just got another update. So in the perpetual cycle, let me show you guys another DraftKings run.
Cool.
Generate lineups, and we'll see what happens there. We talked about promo code GRAVY. Pretty much gets you 50% off almost everything here under our umbrella, especially that weekly core or max package for a DFS. Definitely time to jump in and try those things out. Promo code GRAVY. Also available on Tails and OddsShopper. All right. Where is my notes page?
Where is my mind?
Colin Sexton. How the mighty have fallen. Well, I guess because Brandon Miller's back. That makes sense.
Correct.
He was the streamer du jour there for a little bit, but no longer. Let's get this off. See what other news, if any, has come in. Not really, because we're far enough away from the injury report.
That news coming out before lock probably saved me a little bit, because the amount of power forward I had for Santi Aldama was going to choke a donkey. So that and Jock Landale would have been one of the best plays of the slate. Nearly 5K. Not that you've been going berserk even when Zach Edey wasn't there, but his price has come down to a place at 4,900. I thought I would end up with a lot of him as well. So I get to fix a lot of that, what would have been massive mistakes afterwards, and make sure that I get to a little bit more Karl Anthony Towns. It remained that Karl Anthony Towns was my favorite play from that Charlotte game, but now especially so, I'm definitely going to actually get to him in a meaningful way now that power forward can go allocated to him, and I know I'm not going to have 60% Santi Aldama or something.
All right, let me make sure I didn't have any remnants of information in there because... All right, so things have gotten a little more sedate here.
I want to be sedated.
Oh, because I still have... How you can change your whole... Oh, clear exposures. That's what I need to do.
Bobby Portis, good Lord, dude. I have so much Bobby Portis. Holy shit.
How old is he now? Like 150 or something?
I don't know. He punched Mirotic to the Shadow Realm, sent him back to Spain.
That was like 8 years ago. How crazy is that?
It's insane how long ago that was. And I loved Mirotic, but I really love Bobby Portis. I always
Mirotic, if you went by Crazy Gaby's favorite nickname for him.
Yeah.
Now there's a name I have not heard for a very long time.
Oh, my guy playing Star Wars. You just turned me on. Don't do that right now. I have a standing desk. It'll go up.
Sorry, I went down that path. All right. So TJ McConnell, now that I took that cap that I had on there away, he is very, very popular. I still think that's a risky play. We've gone over it a lot. Nothing too crazy popping up there. Chat, what else you got going for us here? Best small forward plays on DK. Josh Okogie's coming in a lot. I think Josh Hart is okay now that he is starting. Always a threat for a triple-double. Especially against the likes of Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and whomever else is out there for Charlotte. Why is Sadiq Bey in my life today? I don't know. And dear God, Jordan Goodwin is actually small forward eligible on DraftKings. That is your answer.
If you watched Sadiq Bey the other night, it was actually pretty impressive. He was going berserk. He was getting offensive rebounds. He was knocking down every shot he looked at.
Was that Saturday when I told Spags friends don't let friends play Sadiq Bey?
Yeah, and then I think he put up 50 or something like that. I can't remember the exact number because I'm not going to look at it right now as I'm finishing up my lineups. But like, holy mother of God, was he? I mean, he wasn't the best player on the floor because Zion's there, but like Sadiq Bey, man, that was pretty wild. He's still 5,100. Now that we kind of know that he's going to be starting alongside everybody still there, there's just lots of ways where that's just a dude you want to get to. But just in the interest of talking about some other guys that I've got, Jamal Shed, we kind of covered that one as far as cheapies go. Guard is interesting. And the main reason I'm also okay getting away and trimming some of the TJ McConnell stuff, not just because of the late-breaking news that can exist with Malik Monk, but we have Colin Gillespie, who's just been going completely berserk, and Reed Shepherd, who's like Colin Gillespie on Houston, who hasn't really had the same amount of like opportunity so far to start off this season. And Jordan Goodwin exists there, shooting guard, small forward at 5,400. I think he's still pretty darn solid to be getting to as like another mid-range piece. I like the idea of Donovan Clingan, who Robert Williams is really only going to play like 14 minutes a game going forward. So there's a lot of stuff there. And I think the one guy that I'm probably going to be reserving for like some evening lineups, but I'm still going to play a little bit at small forward today, 6,700. And I can't believe I'm about to say it. Dylan Brooks has absurd usage right now. Dylan Brooks is out there doing everything Dylan Brooks always imagined for the life that Dylan Brooks wanted to live. So he's definitely somebody that I think is interesting. Benedict Mathurin, another guy who's sub 10% that I like getting to. Jay Huff, I'm worried, is a little bit overowned, but still kind of another piece of value I'm all right with. Maybe Derek Queen's ownership is a little bit more muted coming off of that weird Evis Missy second half start. He's somebody that I had a lot of notes and stuff about from last night that I was covering on Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks, and already covered Amin Thompson. The highest minutes projection on the entire slate, amazing fantasy performer, and nobody wants to play him. So I will end up playing him. Scene. That's all I got for you right now.
All right. We are 2 minutes away from lock. Shout out to Jake Swales in there. Shout out to the 300 of you that have hit the like button. There are 1,900 still watching right now. Get us up to 500, please. That would be a nice way to go into the Thursday holiday here. And it will help. I promise you, if you hit that like button today and then watch the show tomorrow, you will have better DFS results for the NFL 3-game slate. It's just how this works. It's called paying it forward. We're in the giving season, the Thanksgiving season. And I thank you for giving us a thumbs up here. I just made that one up here. Oh,
somebody got their lineups uploaded and wanted to go on a little.
My lineup's been uploaded for 7 minutes now.
I'm kidding.
This is the new me.
New year, new you. That's cool. That's cool.
For one day, anyway.
For one day and one day only.
All right.
I love you, old man.
You're my favorite. You're my
I hope nothing is optimal in this first game. But Kat, if he decided to at 24% of my lineups, I'd be all right with that, I suppose.
Yeah, I ended up with 30 on DK, and I probably like 18 or 20 on FanDuel. The Yahoo lineup will be built later. I ran multiple different versions of the Yahoo lineup, and it literally was every game from 8 o'clock on. So I'm like, just put that away for now. We are at lock officially, folks. So thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. Hit that like button on the way out. We got a quick 100 from you. Let's get a quick 100 more as we head into Turkey Day here. You guys can follow Eric on Twitter at
Eric Lindquist, right down there, right there. We had Duke's Nukes. It's back in our lives today. Was able to fire that up for the people. Shared a little bit of the math on that underneath it if you care about such things.
Was that on Tails?
Calculator. Say that again. It's on Tails as well. It's on Tails over on X on Tails. Davion Mitchell is going to be starting. Oh God. All right. Well, this is as good as it gets because Norman Powell. Who are we?
Who's missing? You're muted. Oops. All right. Well, with that, we're going to sign off out of here because you're on mute, Mr. Lindquist. And guess who's calling? Mama Mac. I will tell her everyone says hello. With
no Larson.
Good luck.